fools. Got that fire inside, we're rising up to shine. This is our time, yeah, we're feeling so divine. Oh, we're thriving, we'll be thriving, bold and free. Women owning midlife, just you wait and see. Dance through the changes with a heart so strong. This is our anthem, come and sing along.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Not Your Mother's Midlife. I'm your host, Johanna, and today we're taking a close, curious look into monogamy. I know it's not what you're expecting on a podcast like this, but it's just something very interesting that we can all relate to. Like, have you ever wondered whether human beings are meant to be monogamous? What does biology, not culture, not religion, not romance novels, have to say about it? Because I did question that. I was very curious, and after a little digging, the answer I found isn't what I expected. It turns out anthropology doesn't really hand us a neat answer. There's no single evolutionary design file that says, this species shall love one person forever, or conversely, this species shall date around until the end of time. Nope. I guess I'm using those voices because that's how I imagine they speak. It's way muddier than that. See, across history, most human cultures have allowed polygamy. Sometimes it's common, sometimes it's rare, but it's almost always there, written somewhere into the social code. But even in those settings, most people don't actually live polygamously. They live monogamously. That is a hard word to say, try it. They live monogamously. And that makes you think, if people can marry multiple partners, but most still don't, what's pushing us towards pair bonding? Now, in societies where polygamy is basically tied to wealth or resources, as in the more goats or gold or acres you have, the more partners you can have. And it's clear there are probably a lot of monogamous guys who wouldn't mind upgrading to polygamous life if the price was right. And then you have these rare, wild exceptions, polyandrous cultures, where one woman has multiple husbands, flipping the whole thing on its head. These are fascinating outliers, but they do exist. Why you'd want to have more than one husband? I can't even imagine. One's enough for me, and I think most women. Anyway, so culture complicates the picture. Maybe biology can clear it out, because if we look to our cousins, the primate world, maybe we can spot the blueprint for what our species was shaped to do. And here's where it gets really cool. When you look across the hundreds of primate species on Earth, you see a stunning variety of relationship structures. Some are polygamous, some are monogamous. And if you even defy those labels entirely, our close relatives, chimps, bonobos, baboons, they're polygamous. They live in big, chaotic social groups where mating is pretty fluid and competition is brutal. Then you've got these sweet little gibbons and marmosets who basically mate for life. They're like the suburban couple of the primate world. 2 kids living in a lovely treehouse with a solid routine. Now, the key thing here is that each style comes with its own biological package, a different cluster of traits. And once you learn what to look for, you can basically predict how a species mates just by glancing at it. Okay, here's the pattern. In the polygamous species, the so-called tournament species, males spend a ton of time fighting for access to females. Their life is basically one long competition. They've evolved to be large, powerful, and aggressive because the males who win fights get to pass on their genes. So you end up with these crazy physical differences between males and females, what biologists call sexual dimorphism. Male baboons, for example, are monsters compared to the females. Twice the body weight, longer canines, heavier muscles, bigger everything. Their evolutionary success depends on dominance. The winner gets the ladies. But here's the cost. Tournament males have high metabolic rates and shorter lifespans. They burn out fast. And once they've mated, they're not sticking around to babysit anyone. Parenting is not on the resume. The female does all of the raising, while the male invests everything in the next contest. So if you see a primate species where the males look like nightclub bouncers, hulking, flashy, aggressive, you can already guess the mating system. And that's not even the end of it, because in those species, the competition doesn't stop at the fight. It continues after mating in the form of sperm competition. Yes, Sperm competition. The females may mate with multiple males, so the guys have evolved absurdly large testes for their body size. It's an evolutionary arms race at the level of gametes. Bigger sperm count, higher odds of winning the reproductive lottery. You can almost imagine one of the polygamous males strutting around like, hey, ladies, who's ovulating today? So sexy, right? I don't know, it'd probably have a different voice. Hey, who's ovulating? Like that, I guess. Deeper. Now let's flip it. Let's look at monogamous primates, species that pair bond. Here, males aren't built for fighting, they're built for parenting. You see little or no dimorphism. Males and females are similar in size, not super flashy, not particularly aggressive. There's no testosterone-fueled tournaments. There's teamwork. The male helps raise the young, shares food, and builds nests. Because of that, you get smaller testes. I don't have to laugh every time I say testes, like I'm 12 years old. Anyway, you get smaller testes, low sperm count, and infrequent mating. Why? Because you don't need much when you're mating with one partner for life. It's efficient. And here's the easy rule of thumb. If you find a new primate species in the jungle when you're out searching on your next vacation, and the males are bright-colored, double-sized, and seem to be constantly fighting, that's a polygamous species. If you can't tell the difference between the males and the females at first glance, they're monogamous. Simple biology. Now that's all very interesting, but it leads to the question, why both? Why did evolution keep both systems around? Did one evolve because it's better? Or did different species simply stumble into strategies that worked well enough across time? I tend to think it's the second one, that sometimes in nature there are multiple pathways to success. Like evolution says, both get the job done and just rolls with it. Some primates went all in on pair bonding, others on competition, and everyone's still here doing the same things. So now we get to the juicy part. Where do humans fit in? Okay, let's first run down the checklist. Humans show moderate sex differences. Men are about 10% taller and 20% heavier than women. Men need more calories. They tend to have slightly shorter lifespans. But these differences are nowhere near what you see in the tournament species like baboons or gorillas. On the sperm competition side, human males also fall in the middle. Bigger testes and higher sperm count than the monogamous gibbon, but nowhere near the rollicking reproductive output of chimpanzees. Every indicator falls between the two extremes. So the answer is we're kind of both. So we're kind of a hybrid strategy, not truly monogamous, but not fully polygamous. Evolution didn't hardwire us to be one way or the other. It made us flexible, and that explains a lot about human behavior and human drama. We form pair bonds, we fall in love, we raise children together, sometimes for decades. That's undeniably monogamous behavior. But at the same time, we have instincts, deep ancestral ones, that push towards variety, curiosity, competition. That's the polygamous side whispering in our biology. Every human culture has had to invent social framework to manage that conflict. Marriage, religion, ethics, they all serve in part to negotiate between instinct and stability. But biology doesn't take a vote. It's just there, humming quietly underneath, as we struggle to decide which instincts to obey and which ones to override. It's kind of amazing when you think about it. Our entire emotional landscape, love, jealousy, fidelity, heartbreak, all of them might be the consequence of evolution not making up its mind. And maybe that's okay. Maybe being somewhere in between isn't a flaw, it's a feature, because it means we get to choose. We're the only primate capable of sitting down and debating it. Chimps don't hold couples therapy sessions. Gibbons don't file for divorce. Only humans stop and ask themselves, is monogamy working for me? That's our superpower. Consciousness, the ability to override instinct, to shape culture. So when people argue about whether humans are meant to be monogamous, I think they're asking the wrong question. The real question is, given our biology and our brains, what kind of lives do we want to build? What values do we want to live by? Because evolution handed us the tools, all the instincts, drives, hormones, attachments, but not the rule book. We have to write that ourselves. And maybe the most human thing of all is that we're still trying to figure it out. Monkeys aren't out there thinking, what would Jesus do before mating? We, on the other hand, can. Whether we actually do, well, that's another story. So maybe the answer isn't monogamy or polygamy, but something deeper. Maybe we're just the species that gets to ask the question and then choose what feels right. That was fun and so interesting. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend who'd love it too. Drop me your thoughts or ideas for future episodes. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to the podcast and my YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. And you can leave me a 5-star review if you enjoyed this to help others find me easier. I'd really appreciate that. Until next week, I'm Johanna, and this is Not Your Mother's Midlife. Bye-bye.